Right here, down. Protect your out. We put the work in. Let's finish. Let's do this. Family, I'll do 1, 2, 3.
You see, we dream chase, cause that's all we was given to start with. Then we realized the dream was obtainable. Now look at us.
What's going on, Eagles Nation and TMTP family? Welcome back to another episode here on the Main Thing Podcast Presents. It's your boy, Mr. Owens. And after further review, the call stands. I'm still official with no stripes. Eagles family, you already know, blessings as always. I hope that you all are riding high because we got a lot going on as we push into week number 2 of the 2025 NFL season. I'm feeling great, ready to get into everything that you all need to know, from roster moves to injuries, matchups, and what really matters to the Birds right now. To our loyal supporters, y'all already know it's all love. Thank you for your continued support. To our new supporters, welcome to the community and family. Y'all already know how we do. We break it down. We stay sharp. But before we get into all of that fun, we got to remember to do our part as a community and a family. Please continue to make sure to like the videos. It helps with the visibility in the algorithm. Disrespect that comment section. Share and subscribe to the community and our content. And last but not least, don't forget to do this. Make sure to turn on the noties and keep your ears and eyes peeled to the streets like your local neighborhood watch, so you don't miss when me and Big Huss drop this pressure on y'all. All right. So let's get right into it. Let's get to roster moves. Who's up, who's down, and what that means for the depth of this 2025 Eagles squad. Gabe Hall returns to the practice squad. The Eagles have re-signed defensive tackle Gabe Hall after waiving him earlier in the week. He cleared waivers, meaning no other team claimed him. To make room for Gabe, they released Jacob Sykes from the practice squad. What this means, Hall gives us more interior depth along the D-line, particularly for rotational needs. He might not be a star now, but as depth for the D tackle room is always important in case of injuries or heavy usage. Gabe Hall is someone that me and Big Huss has spoken about here on the Main Thing Podcast Presents. We wanted him to make the 53-man roster initially. Gabe Hall brings a lot of impact on the inside. He's a young, savvy defensive tackle. He's only in his second year, but he does great with his hand usage and his hand placement. He disengages from blockers and things like that. So for him to get back here in Philadelphia and continue to learn under Clint Hurt, sky's the limit for Gabe Hall. But some earlier moves to note, just in case any of you all have missed it, the Eagles have traded for running back Tank Bigsby from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Philadelphia Eagles gave up a 2026 5th and 6th round pick to help cover for Will Shipley's injury concerns. We know that Will Shipley was having a fantastic start to his second season here in Philadelphia, but then he unfortunately got that rib injury. And we know that Howie Roseman is constantly scouring and looking around to make this roster better. So with that injury concern with Will Shipley, Howie goes out and gets a physical north and south hard-nosed runner. I liked him coming out of Auburn. He's always been very physical and can run in between the tackles. He doesn't add that much value in the passing game as it Will Shipley does, but where Tank Bigsby can excel in, and where I feel that Howie Roseman really wanted to get him in the building is in the kick return game. So he can add some juice there. So let's be on the lookout for that this Sunday and see maybe if Tank Bigsby can change that fortune, because as we all know, the kick return game hasn't been the strongest here in Philadelphia, and starting field position is critical and key to a team success. So let's see what Tank Bigsby can offer. Uh, Also, we signed veteran edge rusher Zadarius Smith to add pass rush experience after losing some of the older production from the edge. Zadarius Smith is 33 years old. He is a seasoned vet. Last season, he played with the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns, tallying 9 sacks and a ton of pressures. He brings a lot of versatility to the defensive line room. Also, what he can do is he has speed rush and can convert that into power with bull rushes and things like that, something that we have lacked here in Philadelphia. So I'm excited to see how Vic Fangio uses Zadarius Smith and how Zadarius Smith can help the young defensive line room excel as well by giving them some tips and techniques along the way. The Philadelphia Eagles have placed Ben Van Simmeren on injured reserve due to the torn patella tendon. That is a season-ending injury. That is unfortunate because we know how hard Benny has worked to get back from last season's season-ending injury, and for him to come down on the first kickoff of the 2025 NFL season and that happened is very unfortunate. And we here at the Main Thing Podcast Presents and everybody, we wish Benny a speedy recovery. Now, some practice squad moves beyond Gabe Hall and Jacob Sykes. The Eagles have released my boy, Montrell Johnson Jr. from the practice squad before bringing back Gabe Hall. They also signed offensive lineman Jake Majors to the practice squad. So now he gets an opportunity with Stoutland University. We will see if he would take full advantage of that opportunity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, these moves tell a story. The Eagles are proactively managing depth, especially with the injuries piling up here early on in the 2025 season. They're trying to make sure that they do not get caught flat-footed when Sunday rolls around. Howie Roseman's always going to make sure that this roster is in peak form. Now, injuries. This is where things can swing games. Here's what's going on as of today ahead of the Eagles Week 2 matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs. DNP did not practice for a second straight day. Is tight end Dallas Goedert with his knee injury. He has missed both Wednesday and Thursday's practices. His availability for Sunday is very much in doubt. This kind of gives me pause for concern because we know one thing before the season started was we wanted Dallas Goedert to remain healthy. We know in years past he hasn't been the most reliable tight end as far as health-wise. He misses a few games every season. And for us to be going into the second game of the season and him already with a knee strain, it sucks. But hopefully this injury doesn't linger and that this doesn't affect Dallas Goedert in the long term. This means also that it's time for Grant Calcaterra. It's time for Colin Granson. It's time for Cameron Latou to step up in the absence of Dallas Goedert. Quarterback Tanner McKee, his right thumb injury. So this might be a backup issue if he can't suit up. We know that Tanner McKee is our best backup in the NFL, but with us having Sam Howell serving as the backup, we got to keep a monitor on that. Let's make sure and hope and knock on wood that nothing happens in the quarterback situation with our franchise. Now, running back Will Shipley, his oblique injury after hurting his ribs in week 1 was not practicing, so his status for Sunday looks unfavorable. They said that his injury could be between 6 to 12 weeks. Limited participation was rookie offensive tackle Cameron Williams with a shoulder. He was limited in practice on Thursday. Now, to the good news, the great news, in fact, upgraded to full practice is guard, all-pro guard Landon Dickerson. He was limited earlier in the week with a back injury, and now he is full participation. That is solid news for our offensive line. Also, great news, Jalix Hunt, he was upgraded to full participation after having a hip injury. That is amazing to hear for our offensive line and defensive line projections. So the big picture, there are some concerns, especially if Goddard can't go. McKee being out is manageable. It's just about depth, but that's still something to watch. The full return of Dickerson is a positive sign, excuse me, especially for the run game and protections. Now, matchups to watch and what's on deck versus the Kansas City Chefs. Let's shift to what this all means for Sunday. Eagles at Chiefs, a big Super Bowl rematch style atmosphere. On the Chiefs side, their injury report looks as this. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy is out with a shoulder. He was limited in practice. He separated his shoulder in week 1 and is questionable. Wide receiver Jalen Royals has a knee issue and he's still out. So the Chiefs may be shorthanded at receiver, which could shift how they try to attack the Birds secondary. Maybe more reliance on tight ends like Travis Kelce or some of their backs like Isaiah Pacheco. Some key positional matchups on Philadelphia's side. The tight end situation, if Goddard can go, as I mentioned, aforementioned before, that means more looks for Grant Calcaterra and Colin Granson and possibly evaluating Cameron Latou or EJ Jenkins from the practice squad. Blocking in the red zone and seam routes may suffer. We know how great Dallas Goedert is in the blocking in the run game when he's blocking and then also catching the ball in the middle of the field. But we got to hope that our backup tight ends and things like that, our depth piece tight ends can step into Dallas Goedert's role and be productive just as Dallas Goedert is when he's out on the field. Now, the running back rotation with Will Shipley out, Barkley remains the main workhorse. Tank Bigsby's trade now does matter. A.J. Dillon may see an increased usage, and we also might commit to pass protection from running backs where it matters because with Will Shipley out, we know that he can pass protect on third down. He's usually our 2-minute back, but we know that A.J. Dillon is a vet. He usually does well in pass pro. Tank Bigsby does well in pass pro, and we already know Say 2K does well. So we just got to hold down the fort and continue doing what we do in that running back room. We have Jamil Singleton. I know that he will make sure that those running backs are ready to roll. Now, the offensive line, Dickerson being healthy is a major boost for us. The Chiefs pass rush will test the Eagles tackles and speed outside. Now, Cameron Williams' status with his shoulder could influence depth or who steps in for certain packages. Rookie linebacker Tahai Campbell had a strong debut against the Dallas Cowboys, particularly in coverage versus the Cowboys. One matchup to watch, though, is can he handle Travis Kelce or whatever the Chiefs choose in the tight end role in space? Another defensive matchup to watch is pass rush, is Darius Smith's presence and how the Eagles rotates their edges, given the potential fatigue that the Chiefs' offensive line strength has. If the Eagles do, in fact, get some pressure, they can force mistakes from Kansas City, especially if they're missing some wide receivers or dealing with key injuries. Now, some strategic considerations to monitor without Shipley and possibly being without Goddard. The Eagles might have to lean more on the receivers going deep and taking more deep shots with QB1, some screens to the running back and screens to our wide receivers, check downs, and rely on play action to expose the coverages that Steve Spagnuolo will try to give our offense. The Chiefs might try to exploit any mismatches in the secondary or attempt more 2 wide receiver or speed sets, especially if Xavier Worthy is limited. Now, the special teams and turnovers will be magnified in such a high profile game. Discipline, penalties, penalties after the whistle can swing momentum. We have to make sure that we are focused, that we are all aligned and on one accord. Let's talk what the Eagles have shown so far, week one, plus the practices gearing up for this week two matchup versus the Chiefs. They were strong and where we need to improve before Sunday. So, what's working with the Philadelphia Eagles currently as we stand? That moves are being proactive. Again, Howie Roseman is always looking to improve the roster. So, trading for Tank Bigsby, signing Zadarius Smith, managing the practice squad. That's not passive. That helps when injuries do hit. Offensive line, Dickerson's upgrade to full practice is huge. If he's truly good to go, that gives stability in the interior and helps with the run pass balance on offense. Rookie stepping up, Jahai Campbell in particular, impressed in coverage and with his energy out there on the field. These young players are contributing early here in Philadelphia. So now it's always with the good, it's always some bad. So what does need improvement and some concerns here as we currently stand? The tight end health is a concern, as we always touch on, as we touched on before with Dallas Goedert. If he is out and the backups haven't been fully tested in high pressure moments, that can expose a major weakness. Luckily, we have Grant Calcaterra. He has served in a role when Dallas Goedert has been out in the past, but we need more. We need more production out of that group. Now, the running back depth, Barkley, Saquon is solid. We all know that, but reliance on him more than planned could lead to wear and tear with him. So how will Tank Bigsby adjust? Plus AJ Dillon's reps increasing will all matter. Now, the backup quarterback with McKee being out again, that means that Sam Howell likely will be backing up QB1, and that relationship with the offense needs to stay tight. Then we need insurance from him in case QB1 gets hurt or goes down or needs any relief. We're knocking on wood, hoping that none of that does happen, though. Preventing the kind of soft spots that the Chiefs might exploit, perhaps some mismatches in coverage, miscommunication, or being undisciplined. All right, look, y'all, here are the things that you should keep your eyes on and be talking about this week, because as always, community voice matters. We got to keep tabs on Goddard's status. This is probably the biggest individual update. His availability shapes a lot of the passing game and red zone offense. We got to watch Tank Bigsby's reps. He's going to get snaps if Shipley is out of commission. If he can show that he can be dependable in protection and pass routes and in tough yardage, that gives the Eagles more flexibility down the line. Monitor the quarterback backup readiness. We all know that QB1 is great, but you need the second guy to be competent. So this is where the practices and the reps matter the most. The defensive backfield communication, the Chiefs will test the eyes and the bones of the secondary to make sure that the Eagles secondary is disciplined and reading their keys and remaining fundamentally and technically sound, especially if they're missing their receivers. Mistakes will be magnified. So the momentum and the mindset, beating Dallas in the opener is big. But this is a primetime matchup. We all know that. It's a road game. It's nationally televised at 4:25 on Sunday. The mindset has to be tight. The Eagles can't afford for any letdowns. But here's a community check-in for y'all. Look, the Main Thing Podcast presents check-in. What did y'all see in week one film? Who impressed you? Who worries you coming into Kansas City? And as well, always let us know what y'all going to be on the lookout for come Sunday versus the Chiefs. But to wrap these things up, to wrap everything up, here are some key takeaways and what I'm expecting. Good news on the O-line front with Dickerson and Hunt being upgraded on the offensive and defensive line. That improves protection and run and pass rush lanes. Now, the injury concerns remain for key players. Goddard, Shipley, McKee. If any of those are out, that forces adjustments per usual. Depth is being tested and built with via trades. Tank Bigsby, veteran additions in Zadarius Smith, and practice squad management with Gabe Hall and Jacob Sykes. This matchup is crucial. As much as people want to try to downplay it, this matchup is crucial. This game versus the Kansas City Chiefs could tell us a lot about how far the Eagles can go this season, especially on how they adjust when we have missing pieces here in Philadelphia. But look, y'all, be on the lookout. Me and Big Hus are going to do a preview video. We'll probably post that on Saturday. So look, keep your ears and eyes peeled to the streets like your local neighborhood watch so you don't miss when we drop that on, y'all. But again, let us know down in the comment section what y'all are excited about. Who's y'all favorite player? What y'all think the score possibly might be on Sunday. But again, it's always a pleasure talking to y'all. Remember to continue to create so that y'all can consume. Remember to have faith, plant your seed, and let it grow. But if you don't know who I am, I go by Mr. Owens, and this is the Main Thing Podcast presents, where we keep the main thing the main thing. To our loyal supporters, y'all already know it's all love. Thank you for y'all continued support. To our new supporters, welcome to the community and our family. Let's continue to do our part as a community and a family. Please continue to make sure to like the videos. It helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Disrespect the comment section. Share and subscribe to the community and our content. And last but not least, don't forget to do this. Make sure to turn on them notification bells, also known as the Liberty Bell looking thingy, so you don't miss when Swoop comes out with the Eagles news and updates. As I said before, it's always a pleasure speaking to the community and our family. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. It's always fly Eagles fly all day, every day. It's go Birds. We're headed to week 2. We're 1-0, looking to go 2-0. But again, be on the lookout for that preview video from me and Big Hus. But again, it's all love. Y'all have a blessed one, all right?
It was I was gonna make a lot of money doing what I wanted to do. I went after it, and it was a struggle to achieve it. But you know what? I caught that bitch. Dream chasing.